I've been a global macro investor for over 50 years, and one of the things I learned is that some of the things that surprised me with the most were things that never happened in my lifetime, but happened many times before. I learned that in 1971 when I was clerking on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And the United States, on August 15th, President Nixon got on the television and he told the rest of the world that the gold that the dollars are supposed to be converted into, you won't get. And there was a devaluation. I worked on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange and I thought it was going to go down a lot, and it went up a lot. And I found the same thing happened on March 1933 with Roosevelt doing the same thing. And that taught me history repeats, but not necessarily in our lifetime. So three things are happening in our lifetimes that never happened before. And I saw that a few years ago, and I started to need to do that study. And those three things are the amount of creation of debt and the printing of money to monetize that debt, which is having its effects on inflation, on the value of money, on many things. The second is the amount of internal conflict that we're having. The conflict over wealth and values, the great polarity that has gotten to the point of having irreconcilable differences and threatening our system. And the third is the rise of a great power to challenge the existing great power and the existing world order. In other words, the rise of China. 1945, we created the existing world order that we're in, and that is being challenged. So that's what prompted me to study those things. And in order to do that, I had to study the last 500 years of history, because these are big cycles. Thinking about the rise and decline of a reserve currency and its empires is a big cycle, and it was eye-opening. But I want to emphasize that the big cycle, it helped me understand what's going on right now with the Ukraine war, with the elections that are going to come up, with the economy, and so on. So that's why I did it. I would not have been able to anticipate the 2008 financial crisis if I didn't study the Great Depression. So this is true. And this is one of the curses of our existence, is that we haven't been through wars before. Our generation has not had experiences before, things that happen regularly. So experiences and painful experiences have taught me that I needed it. We're going into an environment with this large creation of debt and printing of money, which is very much like going from the 1960s to the 1970s. You know, what happens is people get used to an environment. There's a paradigm, and a paradigm is sort of a mindset. And so if you look at it, they often last about a decade. The 70s was an inflationary decade. The 80s was a disinflationary decade. And they start off with surprises because the decades are more opposite than similar to the prior decades.